It's true. I mean, we're up against it today with this instant gratification, give me, and nobody, and you know this, Mandy, when you work hard for something and then you earn it, you feel much better about it than if it was just given to you. Like you
Yes.
put
Oh,
any
yes.
blood, sweat, and tears into it, right?
Yes. Yes. The value is a great deal higher for something you earn than it is for something somebody drops in your lap.
Exactly. I mean, I remember years ago, this is kind of a silly comparison, but I remember working in the yard for like 2 weeks straight, and I really wanted this journal. It looked like something from Lord of the Rings. And I remember when I had basically blood, sweat, and tears in that yard, I
Yeah.
got to earn that journal, and I still have it to this day when I was like 11
Yeah.
because I had earned it. Now, stuff I've been given, I don't always have those things, but something I
Yep.
put everything into, I still have. So that's just a fun analogy of as to what it is for me. Okay, so let's go to your raising, because a lot of people, they've seen Mandy Burdick, they've seen these videos in Twig. You do such a great job of bringing your store to life. But how were you raised? I mean, you were telling me before this interview, you were in Tennessee, you're in Florida, and in South Carolina. So give us the Mandy Burdick raising story.
Well, it's it's pretty basic. I have always lived with my parents and my family. I'm the second youngest of my parents' 8 children. I was born in Florida. My earliest memories are of Tennessee. Daddy's an electrical engineer, so he moved a lot for work, and naturally his family moved right along with him. Um, so my earliest memories are of Tennessee. And then after a while, we moved to Florida for work. And then 17 years ago, Daddy changed jobs again, and we moved here to South Carolina. And we've just kind of really put down roots here. We've lived in South Carolina longer than we have lived in any other place. And I love it here. It's been great.
Absolutely. And I know your father, who's a great man, a man of history, and just the kind of conversations we've had about appreciating real history. Tell us about his impact in your life, because he clearly has had a huge role in the way you were raised.
Yes, yes. It's very interesting because I have not had what you'd call a typical upbringing. I've always been homeschooled from K4 through my graduation from high school. And I always have appreciated that. Now, quite frankly, doing third grade math, I didn't enjoy it particularly, but the more I went through school and the more, sometimes I would have friends that weren't homeschooled and they would always say things that made me think, why are you envious of me? I didn't understand that because having never not been homeschooled, I didn't really understand what the other options were. And the older I get, the more I am aware of what a huge gift that was to me from my parents and my siblings too, because as each of the children in my family, my siblings got older, the older ones got to help school the younger ones. So each of us has had a taste of helping with the homeschooling. So that part was really cool. That was really cool. I remember some of my earliest memories are of my mama reading with me, helping me learn phonics. I actually have a red book that's about the size of a clipboard, and it's called Reading with Alpha Phonics. And I loved that book. And when mom was done homeschooling, she's getting rid of her school books. And I saw that book go by, and I hadn't thought about it since I was learning that WAS was a sight word with special sounds. It wasn't was, it was was. And I was so excited to see that book. I said, Mom, you're not getting rid of that. And she said, Well, I am. Your sister doesn't need it. She's homeschooling. And I'm like, she says, Mandy, do you want this? I'm like, oh, phonics, I've got my book, I've got my book. So I love that book. I still have that book. But it has always meant the world to me that I was homeschooled, and not just homeschooled, but home churched too. I've never been a bona fide member of a regular church. We've attended churches from time to time, but I have always appreciated the fact that my dad has had the time, has been willing to make the time. He gets 24 hours like anybody else. He's always been willing to make the time to lead his family, to point us in the right direction, not to say it's because I'm the dad and I know it and this is the right thing, but to say, well, here's scripture and it looks to me like it says this. And, if there's something he says, we respect it and we do it. And if we understand it, that's great. If we don't understand it, we can ask him, respectfully, okay, I understand what you're saying and I'll do it. But Dad, can you explain it to me? Because it doesn't make sense to me. To me, it seems like this other thing. And he will explain it and he'll talk to us about it. And so he's not, he is not a dictator. He could be. From him, I would take it, but he doesn't have to be. And he knows it. He does not lay down the law because he doesn't have to. He can say, I don't think you should. And to me, that is as good as saying, stop it, because I know he is smart enough to know what is a smart thing to do and what is not. And so it's a smart girl who knows to listen to her daddy when he talks.
That's great. Well, you know, and I've actually made a really great point there. Speaking the truth in love is a lot more powerful than
Yes.
just shouting down at people. And I'm so glad you brought up homeschooling. I mean, I'm so proud that I went through homeschool, and, you know, we have a lot of people in businesses for liberty. I was just thinking of the Harris family and others that, you know, look what they've been able to accomplish as homeschoolers. I get so tired of people going, oh, if you homeschool their kids, they'll turn out weird. They will be socially awkward. Give me a break. Like, if anything, and you know this, I'm preaching to the choir of choirs here. If anything, when you're homeschooled, you get to know people of all ages. It's not about, I'm in second grade, I can only talk to second graders. I'm in fourth grade.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big problem. And then, you know, love of learning, right? I mean, I read book after book on the war between the states, real history again. And, you know, it wasn't busy work. So what's your message,
Yeah.
Mandy, to homeschoolers and their parents watching this?
Well, I would say there is a lot of truth when people tell you, yeah, if you homeschool your kids, they're not going to be normal. I think there's a lot of truth in that. And I think it's a very good thing. I have never been normal, and I have seen normal, and I've watched it grow up around me. You know, I've had a lot of friends that are normal, and I think that what I have is much better than normal because of the way I was raised. So it is entirely possible that your homeschooled children will never be normal, and that could just be their saving grace.
Amen. Well, especially with the way the world is today. And again, I'm not saying anything against public education or against private schools. Look, we need lights in all these different arenas. But at the same
Yeah.
time, you know, one day when I have a family, I look forward to homeschooling. I just think, you know, I fell in love with history, right? With English, with not necessarily math or sciences, but, you know, I found the places that I loved, and my mom pushed
Mm-hmm.
me towards them. And I would argue that I'm a lot more fulfilled in my life because I had that foundation. And a lot of kids, they just do busy work, busy work, busy work, and they don't really know what they want to do. How many times have you heard, I don't want to do, I don't know what I want to do. And they go through
Mm-hmm.
college and they spend all this money and they come out going home. I mean, I've seen it over and over again. But listen, let me ask you this, Mandy. So a lot of people, you know, they're raised right, you know, they have the right experiences, but they don't start a store. They don't become leaders in their community like you have. What led you and Jesse to start Twig, and how did that happen? I mean, it's such a magical store.
Well, I'm not sure I would say we're leaders in the community necessarily. We're certainly interested members. I'm not sure. I think we're leaders, but um, we didn't actually start Twig. It was started by a lady that we did not know at the time she started it. I think she started it in February 2018.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know her right away, but she had a boutique of home goods and things, and she wanted to put clothes in there for ladies. And so she was talking to one of her friends and said, I need somebody to come manage clothes for me at Twig. And her friend said, well, Jesse Burdick has clothes. Don't you know that? Now, it's funny because the woman who told the lady who owns Twig about Jesse is somebody that we knew only in passing. We barely could connect a name with a face. She was not somebody that we knew necessarily. And so it was really neat that God used her to bring Jessie to Twig with her clothes, because Jessie had her line of clothing, Colbert Clothing, and she was working to build a clothing business. And so that was pretty cool. So Indra, who is the lady who had Twig originally, got in touch with Jesse and said, hey, why don't you bring your clothes in and we'll do consignment. And they arranged everything. And there's a smaller room in the back of the store, and that's where the clothing went. And so the whole store was a gift home goods shop. And then the back room was all clothing. It was very organized, very tidy. And it was win-win. It gave Jesse a storefront for her clothing, and it gave the other lady clothing for her storefront. So things went on like that for a little while. And then she would also, the lady who owned Twig, would refinish furniture. She would paint it and distress it, and it would just be a little side thing she did as part of her home services. And she decided she was about done painting furniture. She'd just done it enough. She was about tired of it. So she asked Jesse who she could get to paint furniture. And Jesse said, well, shoot, that's something Mandy would probably enjoy. It is not something I'd ever done, but it was the sort of thing that appealed to me greatly. And it was very funny the way God orchestrated it, because when we were walking through it, it's like, well, that was surprising. Well, that was surprising. And now you can look back and see the divine architect at work.
Yes.
But at the time, it was very much like, I don't know why I'm here doing this, but look at that. I kind of realized I was in the middle of painting a small chest of drawers, and I'm like, what is going on? I mean, it's not what I had planned, but it certainly is something I've enjoyed a great deal. She said, well, how about I show you how to do a piece of furniture, and then if you like it, we can come to an arrangement. And I said, okay. Well, by the time I had finished that piece of furniture, she's like, girls, I need to talk to you. I'm done here. I'm done with Twig. I'm going to sell it. I don't want to close it. And you all are on the top of my list. I have other people on my list who are also interested, but I wanted to give you first dibs. Are you two interested in buying Twig and taking it over? And it was a tremendous mind bomb, because we had neither of us ever worked in retail.
Wow.
And we certainly hadn't run a brick and mortar. And it's kind of funny, because as children, Jesse and I would not necessarily always get along. We always spent all our time together, but we would either be, being best friends or being worst enemies. It went both ways. We did a lot of squabbling as children. We were very childish. And so apparently a dream of Jesse's was always, maybe we can have a store together. Now, I did not know this, because rudely, I'm sorry, the last thing I ever wanted to do was run a store with Jesse. Oh, good grief. No, I'm going to go conquer the world some other way. It wasn't what I had planned, and it certainly wasn't on my list of cool things I wanted to do. And when the lady said, I'm selling Twig, do you all want it? I was, of course we do, yes. I mean, I didn't even have to think. And that was very strange, because I'm one of those people who, when faced with an opportunity, I tend to go, okay, let me think about that. Let's not get all hasty here. And usually Jesse is very decisive. And in this particular situation, it's completely reversed. I was like, okay, well, we need to do that. And Jesse said, right, but we need to think about it first. And I'm, yes, we need to think about it, but we're doing it. She says, no, we need to see if we can. And I'm like, no, we need to see how we can. And so it was funny, because it was complete role reversal. It was very funny. I thought, I don't know why I'm so sure about this, but I was.
That's amazing. So just to be clear, you had never done retail before.
Unless shopping counts.
I mean, that's amazing, and when you walk in Twig and you see what you did with, come on, we have to bring it up, Betsy Ross, in the store. I mean, that had been in the store, but just wasn't painted over with that on, right? What was the story behind the Betsy Ross?
Well, it is 10 cove molding. It's the trim they put along the top of the wall against the ceiling in the old tin tile ceilings. And it's very large. The pieces are probably 10 inches wide, and they're shaped like kind of like a quarter circle, because it was rounded. And we had 4 pieces of it, and it was hung vertically from a certain spot in the ceiling. But the pieces, they're dirty, because at the point in time when those pieces were molding against the ceiling, the house was heated by fire. And so the back side of them, and a bit the front side of them, was all covered with soot and whatever sand or dirt that had blown around and in the humidity stuck. They were very dirty. So they were continually flittering dust and dirt and soot on the area where they were hanging from the ceiling. And after a while, I got tired of looking at them just hanging almost like wind chimes. They looked like overgrown wind chimes the way they were hung. There were 4 pieces, and they must be 3-4 feet long. They're quite large. And it was funny, because we decided we need to paint a flag on it. So I put 3 of them together, because that made it the right proportion. Yes. I still have the 4th one, and every now and again I look at it and wonder what I'm going to do with it, but I haven't painted anything on it yet. And we got the flag put on it, and we put it up, and it just looks really good. So
I was very obviously the first thing I noticed when I walked in and we did that first ever interview. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm home. It was definitely beautiful to see. And I think it's one of the things that separates your store from a lot of stores, that you're unashamed. And so why did you put Betsy Ross on there?
Well, I wanted to do something with them because they were old and they were really cool looking. And until someone explained it to me, I didn't know what they were. It's like these random pieces of lightweight metal that are fancy. I didn't know. Um, there was a big hoorah going on about. I don't even remember who it was because I don't follow sports, but it was somebody important in the sports world. Got all offended because I think it was Nike put a little Betsy Ross flag on their sneakers, or they were going to,
Mhm.
and this particular celebrity said no, and they had this allergy to American pride, and then that started a whole downward trend everywhere. And Jesse and I were talking about that one day and what we can do to um, nicely but firmly be Americans in America, because that's where we are. Hello. And we like it besides. And we were looking at each other and I said, wait a minute, I know what we need on that tin. We need a Betsy Ross flag. We need a Betsy Ross flag for the men's area. Yes, we do. So that was why we put it on the tin and put it on the wall, because it was a very appropriate time to put up a Betsy Ross flag. No
Absolutely.
confusion here.
Well, I encourage all of you, if you go through Walterboro, you have to go through Washington Street. It's like a beautiful historic street. But go look at that Betsy Ross, because it is beautiful the way it stands out in the store. You're right, by the men's section, my favorite section, of course. And Twig, I do want to say, I'm going to give you a moment here to share all about Twig. But what I love about Twig is when you go in there, there's something for everyone. There's a great men's section. It's not like a token men's section with 2 items. Like, there's a lot of stuff in there. In fact, I wanted to show a few things. This is my cologne, or no, my deodorant. And I love that it's Sasquatch. And it's great. And of course, I want to smell good as I'm fighting for liberty. And let me show you a few other things. This is one of their newest shirts that just came out. And I love wearing this shirt. I think it's a really nice, especially festive time for when we had Christmas going on. And then this one, I just can't stop wearing, which is the Hold Fast Zip Up sweatshirt. And this is just a beautiful, it's perfect for if you're kind of working out and you want to get out there and being fit, but you don't want to get a cold. And I love zipping that thing up. But those are just a few of the items that I wear. But, you know, Mandy, you guys have a great thing going on at Twig. I mean, you got the right music. You've got the right setting. You change the store up enough to where it's not always the same. There's different, you know, themes that you're presenting. But what do you love most about Twig, the store?
Mostly, wow, there's a lot. There's a lot I love about it. Which is a good thing because what we get is a result of the choices we make regarding it. So it's good that we love it, right? It means we're making good choices.
Right, exactly.
um, most of the time, what people say when they come in, they'll open the door and they'll come in and they stop. And, you know, they'll say hi and we'll say hi and they'll say, it smells really good in here. And so we have a lot of lotions and soaps. You know, we have a whole line we carry, and we have candles, and we usually have a candle burning, and we carry some very fragrant products, but it's not overpowering. And so I guess when you get a whole store of them together, it just smells very nice. And when you come in off the street, you notice it. I don't really notice it a whole lot because I'm always there. But when
Okay.
people come in, usually the first thing they say is, it smells great in here, just so you know. And I love hearing that. And yesterday a lady told us, you have something in here for literally everyone. And you know, that's really not actually completely possible, but I loved hearing it because
No.
that's our goal. We want to have something for everybody, you know, for that baby shower gift, or for you know, that mama who's having a baby and she can't find any clothes that fit because she still has 3 weeks to go, but all of her maternity stuff is too small. We have things for pregnant mothers. We have things for little girls that are too big to be toddlers and too little to be grown-ups, and you know, those in between sizes. We have clothing in all the sizes. We even carry a few styles of little girl shoes. We have ladies shoes. It's we have jewelry, gifts. We have little sort of, I don't know what you would call it, like memoriam items that's, you know, sometimes have a red cardinal on it and you'll say, I'm always with you, or it'll say, um, no longer in my arms, but forever in my heart. Because sometimes people come in and they're going to go meet a dear friend who has lost their husband or something, and they want to take something to hopefully bring a little comfort. I mean, when somebody suffers a loss, you want to ease their pain, and it is sometimes nice to have a gift somebody gave you as you're hurting, and it reminds you that you're still loved and there is still, comfort for you in this other friend, even though you've suffered this loss and you're going to mourn it. It's nice to have a reminder of other people that love you too, I guess. I don't know. So we try to have something for everybody.
Yeah, and you guys, how many years have you been working together as sisters running the store?
Our first day was November 1st, 2018.
That
So
is awesome.
4 years, oh brother, 24. Yeah, 4 years and what, 3 months? Is that right? Barely. November, December, January. Yes,
Sounds
I
right.
think it's 4 years.
I'll go with
Oh,
your
just
math.
over 4 years. Yes, let's call it that.
Well, when you hit 5, we're gonna have a big deal. We're gonna make a big deal of it. I'm looking forward to your 5th celebration. So that'll
That
be
will be a big deal.
yes. So I'm really excited because that's another thing too. In Businesses for Liberty, we want to celebrate our business owners' wins. We want them to know we're all in this community, which is so awesome. But before we get to Businesses for Liberty stuff, let me ask you this: what if I were to walk in right now, which I'm not too far away from, thankfully, I'm only like an hour and a half. So if I were to walk into your store, what is there right now in terms of a theme? Like, what are you guys kind of pushing right now?
Well, of course, it's almost Valentine's Day, so we have a lot of his and her kind of gifts. Right now, the first thing you see when you walk in the front door is the display of we have some heart-shaped ornaments that are just pretty, black and white checks, very farmhousey looking. And we have some handmade, hand embroidered and appliqued gift towels that say Mr. and Mrs. on it. And they have, the little wedding car you drive away in, and there's the cans tied to the bumper. It's all embroidered on this towel, and it's really pretty. We have coasters that say his and hers, and we have all of our wedding and couple and for him for her gifts on prominent display as we come up to Valentine's Day. It seemed like a good section to emphasize.
Yes, absolutely. Well, no, that's great. And that's what I meant earlier was I love that you guys are keeping up with the seasons. It's not like, oh gosh, this might as well be from last fall. Stuff actually looks interesting and you change it up and you do such a good job of that. Because there are some stores you go into, it's like, wow, it's very stale in here. Like they don't really, they're not going the extra mile. Let's just put it that way. They're not going the extra mile to show how much life is going on in the store, and that makes a big difference. So
we
let
have
me
a big
go
sorry
ahead.
we have a big advantage in that area because we're very small. And so
Right.
most of what we do ourselves, and we have the biggest vested interest in what we do because it's ours. If you hire somebody to do it for you, sometimes even if you give detailed and copious directions, they still don't really get it because it's not their vision and it's not
Right.
their dream, and you can only explain so much. And so we do have a distinct advantage because it was our idea and we get to execute it. So it's very much a win from that perspective.
Absolutely. Well, not only do you have a great in-store experience, but online you guys are very good at showing the store in videos. You're very active on social media. If I'm watching this and I'm living in Alabama, or I'm up there in Michigan, or I'm in Nevada, can I order stuff from Twig online?
Yes, you absolutely can. We have a website and it's twigdowntown.com because we are Twig and we're downtown. Um, Now, some of the things we have in the store have a very quick turnover, so we don't have everything listed on the website, but we do put up a lot of pictures and posts on Facebook. We have a Twig a Twig group, Twig Culprit Clothing VIP group
Yes.
on Facebook, as well as a Twig page. That's I'm confused. Jesse handles the social media for obvious reasons.
It's a lot to
We
keep up
do.
with. Yeah.
It is. It's very nice that there are two of us because there are times when we feel like two is really bare minimum. It's very nice that there are two of us. But yes, if you see something, in one of Jesse's videos or in one of the pictures we post and you don't find it on the website, you can just send us a message or call us. We have a phone you can call or text 843-539-6306. You can call or text us at Twig and say, when Jesse was on the video yesterday, she held up the towel with the teacups on it, but it's not on your website. How much is it? And how much would it cost me to ship it to my friend in California? She's getting married. And so we do that. There are people who contact us that way. And so if there's something you see on our Facebook Live that you don't see on our website. We have a lot of products that we don't have on our website. We're very happy to help you over the phone.
That's great. That's fantastic. Well, that's true because, people, one of the things I love about what we're doing at Businesses for Liberty is we are in this together as patriots.
Mhm.
It's not Eric the Patriot or Mandy the Patriot, it's patriots. And we
Yes.
need each other, right? We need each other in all 50 states. And eventually I'd love to bring Businesses for Liberty back to Ireland, liberate my native land. But what's your statement or message, Mandy, to patriots in states that aren't so conservative, or maybe they feel like I'm the only one that's standing for liberty? What do you say to them?
I know how you feel when you feel like maybe the patriotism in your neck of the woods goes as far as the walls of your house and it stops. It can be lonely to be good, if you will. But there are always more people, and people who are patriotic are far more inclined to be discreet. The people who are loving their country and doing their work and being productive citizens are not the same people who are upset about very politicized trends, right? So if you're the kind of person that's going to go out and picket because you're very upset with something the Supreme Court is doing, that's fine, but you're probably going to be a different kind of person than me because I've got a job to do. I really don't go around and picket. I'm working a lot. I'm trying to be productive, and I'm trying to do the work God has put in front of me, and I'm trying to do it well.
Yeah.
And so I have a focus and I have a goal, and I usually don't shout about it because I'm busy doing it. So the people who are patriotic and the people who are hard workers, they're not necessarily going to say, hey, just so everybody here knows, I'm fighting the good fight over here. Nobody that is deeply patriotic necessarily is going to shout about it. There are going to be people who share your values that you had no idea. Every now and again, somebody that we don't really know very well will come in to talk to us, and they will say something, and they'll say, well, I know you'll understand this because you believe in God, and they will share something that's very personal to them. And it's very touching because, yes, we do believe in God. We believe very deeply in God. But that is not how we greet our customers. Hi, Mandy, Christian from day one. How y'all doing today? I mean, it doesn't really come up in conversation.
Right.
But sometimes people come in and they know things, and I don't know necessarily how they know them, but they will know that we're conservative. And so they'll say, well, I know I can say this to you. And they will express a hope or a fear, or they'll just celebrate something, and we're right there with them. There are always more people that are patriots than you think. There are people that I had no clue even cared one way or the other. And they are the most staunchly quiet, but absolutely unswerving patriots.
It's a great
That was very
answer. I would be encouraged if I was out there and I heard that message from you. So thank you for sharing that. So on the heels of that, why did you decide to join Businesses for Liberty?
That was funny. Willis Pons is my brother-in-law, and he was talking about this man, and I didn't really know who the man was, but there was this character he kept referring to. And it was all about the monuments and the statues and the things they were doing in Charleston. Was that in 2019? Was that in 2020?
2020.
Thank you. Sorry, it's a little foggy. I really wasn't paying that much attention because I found the whole thing terribly upsetting, and I didn't see a whole lot I could do about it. I understand if history's upsetting, it can be. I don't understand why you think you need to destroy mine because you don't like it. Go somewhere else. I was very upset by it, and for that reason, I did not spend a lot of time looking at it. And so he would make reference to it, the fact they were trying to take down the monuments and the statues. And there's this guy, and he keeps standing in front of the statues and won't let them deface them. And so I was vaguely aware of you, but I really didn't follow it. It was very upsetting. And then Willis told me about this thing you were doing with Businesses for Liberty. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. It sounds like a good idea. It sounds like a good idea. And so I kind of kept it in the back of my mind, but I didn't do anything about it. I didn't look at it. And then after a couple of months, it popped up in my mind one day, and we had started at Twig, and I thought, oh well, now we actually have not a platform, but a dog in the fight. You know, you say businesses for liberty. If I don't have a business, I'm like, oh, well, that sounds great, but I'm not really interested because I don't have a reason to interact there, you know? And so I thought, well, that's funny. Now here we are, we've got a business and we are patriotic and we would want to do business with other people who are good guys, if you will. And so I reached out to you and said, hey, got a shop with my sister. We love our country and we want to know more about what you're doing with Businesses for Liberty. And what was funny is I signed up with you Tuesday. I don't remember. It was early in the week. And that weekend I was talking to Willis and he said he had signed up with you. Yeah, I did that on Wednesday or something. And I thought, what? We did not even talk and we did it almost at the same time. So it was very funny. That timing was funny. But
Absolutely. Well, you know, I'm so glad you did join, and we had a great. I remember that conversation. That was just a great conversation on the phone about what we were trying to accomplish. And here we are with, you know, close to 200 businesses. We're all over the country. I think we're like 13 states now, and we have 51,000 people following what we're doing now, which is really
whoa,
just exciting. So every business that we push out there, you know, all those eyes are seeing it, and the hunger there is for a patriot economy. That's not
yes,
angry, it's just liberty minded. It's encouraging, isn't it?
right. It's non-aggressive. It's just conservative.
I mean, if you think about it, the word liberty is the most equalizing. It doesn't care what you look like, it doesn't care what you sound like. It cares for the fact that you have the right to your own opinion. And you're not silenced, you're not told you're dumb, you're not told you don't count, you do count. And it's amazing that that word, liberty, has become, you know, the way it is today. And that's what we're fighting back against, simply is just saying, no, we are pro-liberty. And we have many different, I mean, I'm an Irish immigrant, not even from the United States, but I love what this country represents, the founding of it, which is that great experiment of freedom that had never been seen in Europe, had never been seen anywhere else in the world. But thank goodness for George Washington and the founding fathers, who were reluctant too. They weren't looking, I mean, that's why they didn't want to be emperor. They didn't want to be the king. They didn't want any of those titles. Washington went with lowly president because he went to Mount Vernon as quick as he could. So I love that style of leadership. So what is your message, Mandy, in closing here, to people that are out there? They're not business owners, but they're tired of shopping from businesses that don't have what you have. They don't have the founding principles that you have. They don't have that family infused environment. They don't believe in the American flag, let alone the Betsy Ross flag. What do you say to those consumers out there that want to shop from liberty-minded businesses?
Well, everybody matters. Um, every single movement, no matter how big or small, isn't a movement. It is made up of one person at a time. And a lifestyle is like that. If you are in the middle of, you know, renovating your home or something like that, and you're shopping at a hardware store, where you shop matters, whether you are buying 50 gallons of paint or 2 paintbrushes, because a business is made of not your $50,000 intake last year, but every single $2.50 purchase that you put out. Everything matters. And if what you can do, some people are very hardcore. I gave up Amazon, I gave up Walmart, I gave up, and they have this whole list of things they've given up. And that's great. And other people are, well, I would, but I can't because of that. And I would, but I can't because of that. And so sometimes you can't do everything and you can't do nothing. But every little thing that you can do to support patriotic businesses and to not support un-American businesses, every little thing, every penny that you take from that side and put over here, it matters. And some people do great with a cold turkey. I flipped the switch. It was all, now it's nothing. Some people do great with that and they're amazing. I am not that way. I have to do it some and make sure it works, and do it some and make sure it works, because that is how I am wired. And some of my sisters are very much cold turkey and they do it that way and it works for them. And it doesn't work for me to do it that way, but they don't like to do things a little bit at a time. So different people do it different ways. And you are not less of a patriot because you haven't given up every company that ever thought a woke thought. But do what you can. That's all that's expected of you. That's all God wants from you, is to do your personal best, not to do my best or to do what he thinks your best should be. It's about you. You do what you can.
Wow. Boy, if you're not encouraged hearing that answer, look, I'm going to give you a great example of it. When I run out of this, I'm getting more. All right. So I will run out of this at some point. My deodorant, which I'm applying every day, and I should be. And so for that very reason, I am going to be shopping for that anyway. You're already spending the money. Why not spend it with people like Mandy, Burdick, and Twig? And I do want to say I give 100,000% endorsement to Twig. I call it Twig Nation because they have stuff for everybody. I really believe that. I'm one of those people that believes that. And I also believe that you will not go wrong meeting Mandy and Jesse. They're some of the kindest people you'll ever meet. They want to get to know you. They want to know your story. They'll keep up in touch with you. You know people like Nancy in Virginia, people from all over the country that have come into Twig, and people from the upstate, other parts of South Carolina. And wouldn't you say, Mandy, that it's amazing that you started doing those videos and now a lot more people know who you are, not Twig, who Mandy Burdick is?
Yes, that was very hard to do videos. It was very hard. But I did, and it has certainly been good. It's been good for the store, and it's been good for me to get out of my comfort zone and experience a very real learning curve. But it's been a good experience, and it's been well received. So that has been wonderful.
Absolutely. Well, Patriots, thank you so much for watching this. Please share it. Please get people to, just to see what we're doing. Listen to people like Mandy. Know there are great patriots that love their country. They're business owners. They're family run. They love liberty. We need to get behind them. So if you would share on whatever social media you see this on, or YouTube, or wherever, Rumble, and make sure you share the message of Businesses for Liberty. Mandy, thank you for doing this. Thank you for being a patriot in Walterboro, and thank you for being a light in a dark world.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks for what you're doing with Businesses for Liberty. We appreciate you.
Amen. God bless you, and God bless you all. We'll be back soon with many more interviews to come, and back for Mandy with part 2 very soon. God bless you all.